Hello everybody, welcome back to You Can't Win. This is Tom here, and I'm joined by Donald as usual. This week we have for you a special guest, our old friend Harvey. You may know him as 6footinvisible on Twitter. Is that right? Is that the ad?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
And the reference behind that is that there's a Jimmy Stewart movie from like the 50s called Harvey, and he has an imaginary friend who's a 6-foot invisible like white rabbit. So that's like just kind of the docs for me there. But hey guys, what's up?
Hey, how you doing, man?
No, man, I'm good. I'm sitting outside here in glorious Washington, D.C., which is a very evil place. You know, like, I mean, I know that Don came here last year and we went to a bar, but I don't think we spent enough time soaking in the like satanic shit that oozes out of every pore of this place. You know, but
a lot of Masonic stuff. Just everything organized that way and stuff. Very, I don't know. There's a lot of evil emanating from every pore of that city.
There's a big obelisk in town. I mean, that's pretty
yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, they like designed it so you see the Freemason shit like no matter where you drive, you know. So it's just like very in your face. It's like a big fuck you, you know, to everyone who's like woke to that, you know, thing or whatever. So I don't know. I mean, it's like still fun to live here. There's a lot of like DSA people to make fun of. So you know, I don't care that much.
You guys are both Catholics and Masons, there's like a weird thing going on there. Like to me, Masons, I know it from two contexts. One is it's old guys club and they go hang out like it's like the Simpsons thing. They just wear the goofy hats and sing songs and stuff. And then from a historical context, like in the Middle East, Masons were like more visible and more just like, you know, the Masonic hospital, Masonic schools and stuff. And you kind of see that stuff in America too. But, you know, then there's this like conspiracy theory type take to it that seems like a Catholic thing. I don't know. Maybe you have some ideas on that?
I'm not really sure, man, because it's like, I know that I'm not allowed to join the Masons as a Catholic, but I know that the Masons would let me join. Okay. Right? So like I'd get kicked out of the Catholic Church if I joined the Masons, but the Masons would be like, oh yeah, man, come on, we're like having a potluck this week, you know?
Yeah, like a lot of deviant communities, I think, work this way.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I mean, like with the Masons, I don't really know a lot about them, but it seems like their ideas are like pretty goofy. You know, like I'm not sure they really believe in God, which is kind of like a issue for me.
I don't know. I think a lot of it really depends on what particular branch of it. I don't really even understand what the organization of the overall thing is, but I think a lot of them are sort of more on like an anti-organized religion, and they're more about like deism and like a creator with a capital C, and it's not really about religion,
which is atheism. Like basically, like,
they might disagree, but
maybe, yeah. But no, I mean, it seems like pretty goofy. Like one time I went into a lodge to like serve a guy and they were just like doing like a potluck and I was like, oh, this seems okay. You're just wearing kilts or whatever, but who knows what they teach behind the scenes.
We should explain what you mean by serve a guy when they're wearing kilts, because that sounds a little bit...
Yeah, I know. So I guess the reason you guys asked me to come on this is because I serve court papers to people for a living. The job is called process server, and I'm basically hired by like lawyers or the court to, you know, in the United States, we have a weird rule where if you're like getting sued or if you have to go to court, like someone has to inform you about that, and you can do that via like certified mail if like you like sign the letter, but most of the time people don't, and so they send people like me to go and like knock on your door, say, hey, guess what, you're getting divorced apparently, or you're getting sued, you know, and here's like the paper for it, so just like read this and you're fine, you know.
That's got to be interesting. I imagine you've met some pretty crazy experiences doing that kind of thing.
Yeah. So when I started out doing it, I worked for a legal aid firm, basically in DC, and the process server they had worked for them was like kind of expensive and bad. And so I said, hey, I bet I could do this, because I just thought, it's like, oh, I can get out of the office. It's like a fun thing to do, like go and like fuck with a guy. And I wound up being good at it. And a couple of jobs later, I found myself in need of a job, and I thought, oh, I can do this full time. So I began to do that, like basically full time for the last 2 years. Started out actually being like the spear tip on the edge of the foreclosure crisis. I was serving like in the beginning, like 80% foreclosure papers on people.
Oh, well, thank you for your service, Harvey.
I know. No, I mean, maybe they should have paid their mortgage. That's like, come on, you bums. Pay what you owe. No, I mean, those are actually very sad. And like, they're tough to do too, because the foreclosure process is like very long. So by the time they send, a like goon in sweatpants like me to like show up at their door, to like bang on their door at like 10 o'clock at night to like serve them a paper, they've gotten like 8 of these in the mail, and so they're like, no, I'm coming. And so with like a lot of them, you have to like trick them into it.
Yeah. So is that kind of what constitutes being good at the job? You said you were pretty good at it.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah. So my like general technique for like serves at people's homes is that I have a collection of delivery boxes in my car that I just like hold in my hand, and then I put the papers in like either behind the box or like in my coat pocket or whatever, and then I like knock on their door, and I'm like, hey, I have a delivery for Donald or Tom. Is that you? He needs to come out and sign for it himself. And they're and they're like, oh yeah, that's me. Or, oh no, I'll go grab him to sign for it. And then I'm like, hey, you're Don, right? And they're like, yeah, because you have to confirm that it's who they are.
Yeah.
And then, I like pull the paper out of my pocket, and it's like, hey, sorry, I have to serve you a paper. Yeah, sorry, you're getting sued. Bye. And then I leave.
Yeah.
What is the look on the person's face usually when that happens?
It completely depends, man. So like my technique is based around trying to like be back in my car with like the key turned in the ignition before they know what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because just like kind of be like, all right, man, here, see you, bye. And they're like, wait, what? And then like the 5 seconds it takes for them to like register what went down, I'm on the road on the way to the next serve. But people have reacted in all kinds of weird ways. Like I guess, I mean, like people have like chased me out of their building, or like chased me to their car, or tried to fight or point like a gun at me or whatever, which is like pretty boring,
Because
like,
they're not gonna
like,
shoot you. I mean,
yeah. I mean, like when like people try to shoot me, which has only happened like a handful of times, I'm just like, like that seems like that seems pretty gay that you would do that, and and I'm just trying to fucking live my life here, dude. Like let's just fucking chill, bro. I mean, so like one thing I've gotten pretty good at is being able to talk people down from trying to kick my ass, which I found is a good like life skill for like trying to not get mugged,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But so yeah, there's like the people who try to fight, but most of the time, like people are just like, "Oh, thank you,"
Right?
Which is like,
get it.
Which is like kind of a funny, like way to do it.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh yeah, thank you too for coming to the door, man. It's like cool that you didn't try to kick my ass.
Yeah.
What if they just like they don't answer the door and ignore you? Kind of. I feel like that would be my first idea, to just ignore the guy.
Well, yeah. I mean, so like quite a few of my friends have been like trying to get like they've been getting served by debt collectors and shit like that, and so they call me for advice. And for anyone who's listening to this podcast, if a process server is at your door, the best advice I can give you is like, don't answer the door for someone you don't know.
Yeah.
Like if they say they have a delivery that you have to sign for, that's almost always false. That's like just a lie. They can just leave it outside your door. you know, so just don't come to the door. But when people don't come to the door, the thing that we try to do is like actually confirm that it's that person that lives there. What I'll do is I'll like go next door or like to a different apartment or like the concierge in the building and be like, hey, I have a delivery for this guy. You know, I haven't been able to reach him. Can I just leave this on his porch? Do you know that he lives there? And they'll be like, yeah, or like, no, he like moved away. And if they say like yes, then I can call the client and sell them on like a stakeout, right? Which is where I like sit outside their house for like, you know, like 3 to 6 hours and just wait for them to leave. And then I like serve the guy who leaves the house because I've like confirmed that they live there in the first place.
Damn.
Yeah. No, that's like pretty brutal because you're not allowed to like really be on your phone or anything. You just have to look at their door for like 6 hours at a time.
Yeah.
And just wait for them to leave, which is funny.
Do you get like, is the pay worth that kind of thing? You know, like is it commensurate to the sort of annoyingness of it? Yeah.
I get paid like $25 to $30 a serve. And so if I can crush out like 10 serves in a day, that's like pretty good money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But, you know, every time someone tries to fight me or like points a gun at me, I'm like, maybe this isn't worth it. You know,
yeah.
Maybe I should just work in an office or something and like do insurance or whatever.
Yeah. That's what you were doing before more, right? You did more legal kind of office work kind of stuff.
Yeah. I just wasn't very good at it.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like it's so easy when you work in an office to just be like, you know what? I have like 1 hour of work to do today. What if I just went on the internet?
Yeah.
For like 6 hours, and then you get like very stressed out or whatever, and your boss gets mad at you, whatever. But yeah, I mean, it does seem to me to be like a weird rule that you have to like serve people in person a lot. Because it's like, what if you just sent it in the mail? But I guess they can claim that they didn't get the mail, you know?
Yeah. I feel like that's one of those things that goes back to like the 1700s or something, you know? Where it's
yeah.
You know, you have to gain the attention of the person or something. I don't know, some weird...
Well,
you know?
It used to be that the person wouldn't have to be in the court to like be sentenced and stuff. So they could do that in absentia or whatever. That I suppose that was a way of being more fair, and it's sort of just developed this way or something.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like a level you can get to where like if like someone's like really dodging, depending on the court it's in, you can just like post an ad in the newspaper that says that, hey, you're being sued. Wow. And it's like assumed that they're supposed to read it. There was one I was trying to I was trying to serve a restraining order on this one girl who went to Howard, but they would never let me into the dorm because, like, shockingly at a HBCU, they did not believe that I was a student at there.
Yeah.
And so like they wouldn't let me in, and then she like called me and said she was out of the country and stuff. So I went and talked to the judge, and she was like, okay, we're going to do a alternative serve, and you need to text her every page of the document that she's being served. So I sat there in court and texted her like every page of the restraining order in front of the judge, and she was like, all right, she's served.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, this is cool.
Yeah.
I mean, the fun thing about doing serves in DC is that I've served like some people who are pretty famous, and I guess I can talk about that.
Is that like confidential, or how does that work? Is that like...
I don't care.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's all that really matters.
I mean, like I'm allowed to do some brags because I mean at this point all of the famous ones are like, if you like look up the court case, you'll see that I served them or whatever.
Sure.
And it's fine. I guess I'll start from the bottom. I served Tucker Carlson 2 times,
wow.
which was really funny. He was getting sued by this like Jewish guy for a employment discrimination lawsuit because apparently Tucker Carlson is a big anti-Semite. I'm not sure if you guys like picked up on that, like watching his show at all, but he was like a real jerk. And the first time I served him, I went to his house at like 11 o'clock at night and like knocked on the windows and stuff, and his wife like freaked out and like went and got him to like come and kick my ass or whatever. And so he came downstairs in his like boxer shorts or whatever, And I was like, what the fuck are you doing here? I was like, hey, I have court papers for you, man. And he was like, I'm not going to take those. And I'm like, doesn't matter. And then he like opened the door and like talked with me. And he's like, why do you have this job? You definitely went to college, right? And he was like grilling me on why I had this job. And I was like, it's a tough economy. I got fired from my last job for like, being in like Workers' World Party and stuff. So, maybe you should take this paper. I don't care or whatever. And I told him, it's like, hey, if you want to give me a job on your show, I'll take it, and I won't serve you or whatever. But he did not give me a job on his show.
Sure.
Which was sad because I think I would have been good at that.
Yeah, good influence.
Yeah.
Change it from the inside, sort of thing.
Which, no, I'd get him. I'd like trick him into saying like woke stuff on his show.
Yeah.
like Stalin, not that bad actually. Or whatever.
Yeah. You served him twice, you said?
Yeah, because the second time I went, I like ran into his wife again, and she was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I was such a jerk last time," or whatever. And I was like, "No, it's fine. I showed up to your house at 11 o'clock at night." Like, I was just trying to wait for his show to be over.
Man, imagine you keep getting sued enough that you are on like a familiar basis with a guy serving papers.
No, I mean, he extremely knows who I am.
Yeah.
Like he's like seen me like in like court and stuff like that, and he's like, "Hey, Harvey," and I'm like, "Yo, what's up, dude?"
That's cool.
Another day, another dollar. Yeah.
Feel free not to answer this, plead the fifth or whatever. But if someone, Tucker Carlson has money and whatever, if he wanted to just kind of pay his way out of it, is that like how hard would that be for someone in your position to make that happen?
Wait, hold on. For him to pay me?
Yeah.
I don't think I would do that because, I mean, I would get like very fired.
Right. Yeah, I mean that's a big risk, is what I'm assuming.
Yeah. I mean, people have like tried to give me bribes, but it's like I don't want to get like super sued by the client or whatever, because like whatever bribe they paid me, I'm not that good at lying, so I don't think I would be able to like cover that up very well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I just kind of refused to do that. But the second time I went to see him, his wife was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, that I was weird the last time." I was like, "Okay, well, when's he going to be home?" She's like, "Oh, he'll be around like tomorrow, like before 10 a.m. And then I went back like the next morning, and she was like getting out of the car, and she was like, "Oh, I forgot to tell him that you were coming to serve him. Sorry," or whatever. And so I like knocked on the door, and he came down and he said, "Fuck, I didn't want to see you again." And I was like, "Yo, dude, what's up?" and then like we like talked for like 15 minutes or whatever. He like asked me about my life, and I was like, "Oh, well, I like Bernie or whatever because he's like racist."
Yeah.
and just like tried to make him laugh. He is a really sharp guy, and he has a good sense of humor. So,
I've heard that about a lot of people over at he's on Fox, right? I don't really.
Yeah. Like maybe we can learn a lesson from him.
I've learned many lessons from him.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, no. He says a lot of right things.
Yeah.
And then
our sister program on Fox. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that you should try to get like You Can't Win on Fox or whatever, because you have that like Don. You have that like column at Harper's, right?
Yeah.
Like maybe you could sell that to Fox, and that would that would be pretty tight.
Yeah.
I'll be the former CIA analyst,
Right.
Yeah.
No, I mean it's like scams all the way down. So
yeah,
you can definitely do it. I guess other famous people I served, I got like assigned with serving like a crank lawsuit on Hillary Clinton, which was funny because
nice.
Yeah, it was for like Benghazi or whatever. it was like a random guy from like Utah who just wrote like 60 pages of nonsense and like filed it with the court, and then paid me like $200 to go serve her. And I was like, yeah, sure, or whatever.
Yeah.
So I mean, like they live in different houses. Like she lives in New York, and Bill Clinton lives in D.C. So I went to the house in D.C. and just like waited outside in my car, and a Secret Service van like pulled up, and I was like, "Fuck yeah!" or whatever. And and I like got the papers, and I went and like walked up or whatever, and the Secret Service guys were like, "What the fuck are you doing, dude? Like you're come on, man." And I was like, "Well, you know, I'm here from the court. I have like papers to serve on Mrs. Clinton." They're like, "We have nothing to do with her." And I guess Bill Clinton's like getting a little slow in his old age, because he like got out of the car right in front of me, you know, like while I was trying to serve him. And I said, "Hey, Bill, I got some court papers for your wife," and just like threw them at him. and he said, "Fuck no," and like ran inside.
He said, "Fuck no."
Yes.
That's cool.
It was really funny. and then like I got detained by the Secret Service, and they like had to search my car and stuff, and like I called the guy gay, and he got like mad at me or whatever. You know.
They're pretty chill in my experience. I don't know.
I mean, just like based on like the situation, I think it was probably correct for them to assume that I was some whack job who was trying to like shoot the president or whatever.
Yeah,
you know. So they had to make sure I was good. Anyway, I like told my boss about that, and he was like, "Dude, so like most people don't get to meet like Bill Clinton, you know, like you're one of the few people who's like gotten to talk to him." And your move was saying, "Hey, Bill." and I just said, "I don't respect him. Like I think he's a rapist, you know, like, you know, I'm not going to treat him with any respect." Anyway, so yeah, I'm like banned from that street now. Like they like tried to send me back to serve him again, and like there were just cars like blocking me or whatever. So I'm like,
I bet you could get in if you pulled up in like a white panel van. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That says like free kids on the side.
Pizza delivery for Bill.
Right. It's like, hey, I've got 3 13-year-old cheese pizzas for Mr. Clinton, you know. I guess other famous people I've served. I got Richard Spencer once, which was funny.
Oh, wow.
Because he opened the door exactly like 2 inches for me, and I just like slid the papers in between the door. That was actually a funny one, because it was like a lawsuit from like, what's that fucking guy's name? Kurt Eichenwald?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because like he allegedly got like a seizure because of like a tweet someone said.
Right.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Wow, you served those papers, huh?
Yeah, and so he like was suing Richard Spencer for it. or whatever, and like he was like really scared, and I was like, "Hey man, I don't have an issue with you, you know, like I'm like not here to kick your ass, like it's fine." You know.
He's all scared.
It was pretty funny.
What kind of house does he live in? Is it like a nice big house or something, or?
So this was when he was living in Alexandria, and he lived above this like woke like fudge shop, you know. It was like a fudge and like ice cream store, and he had an apartment above that like people would go out to like protest it, and he would just like stand on the roof and like drink and like flip people off or whatever, which like, I mean, respect, that's like the same shit that I would do if like people were that mad at me. But it was like kind of locked down at the time, because people were still pretty mad about the Charlottesville thing, you know. I mean, you know, I'm not sure what he did there, but it seemed to make a lot of people mad at him, you know. And so he was like pretty pissed off. But I just went and talked to like the people who owned the fudge shop, and I was like, "Hey, I'm here to fuck with this guy. I have like court papers for him. You know, can you let me in the back gate or whatever?" And they did. So I got to knock on his door or whatever. I mean,
I wonder what that relationship is like between the fudge people and the Nazi guy upstairs. You know what I mean? Like that's...
he eventually moved out of there because I think eventually they made it clear that he wasn't welcome there. Where it's like, you know, I mean, this is a woke fudge shop. I thought that everyone was welcome here. You know, but you know, they got mad at him for expressing his beliefs, for exercising his rights under the first, you know.
Yeah. He's getting kicked out. He's like pointing at the refugees welcome here sign. Like, come on. I've been kicked out of every other fudge shop in town.
Yeah. I mean, my vibe from him was that he was kind of like a bitch male, you know, he was like definitely a pussy. So I don't know.
Yeah, he seems like a schlub.
Yeah. I mean, that's like my take on him. Also, he's like fat, you know, which like I'm like fat too, but you know, I'm not like fat and be like, yeah, I'm also the master race. You know, like,
yeah.
Like, I mean, that's why I really respect the guys who are like Nazis, but they're like really into being fit, you know, because it's like at least you're following through on like the race war thing,
right?
Know? Yeah.
Kind of putting your money where your mouth is a little.
Yeah. But I mean, like, I don't know, like most of the people I serve aren't that like rich. Are like the like firm I work for gets like a pretty high volume of foreclosure lawsuits, so it's like 80% like tricking like poor black people who got like scammed by like, you know, Wells Fargo or whatever, you know, to take the paper, which stinks, you know. I mean, it sucks. I don't care.
You know what you could do that would probably work pretty well is you set up one of those Twitter accounts that says like discount Domino's, you know.
Oh yeah, no, that's a trick I've used. I guess I guess I can talk about some. There was a time because I was serving a lot of like women like at their work, and so I got like a 1-800 flowers box and like pretended to be a flower delivery guy at their work for a while, and then they'd be like, "Oh yeah, I'm here to get my, you know, like shit or whatever." They'd be like, "Oh, sorry, you're getting served." And then and then that wound up with like our company getting a cease and desist from 1-800 flowers.
Yes.
and so then I changed that to edible arrangements, and we got a cease and desist from them too. And so, yeah, I mean, I'll like still do those tricks, but like not quite as much. A pretty good trick to do if like someone's in a apartment is you like take like a toolbox with you and you say that you're a maintenance guy.
Oh yeah.
And like they have a leak in their apartment that you have to look at.
Yeah.
And then you confirm that it's them, and then you serve them.
That's one of those things that people kind of let you in anywhere if you have like one of those construction vest things, you know, those like highlighter colored vests or a clipboard and a hard hat or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, you just say like, I'm here for the thing in the back. Like, oh.
No, that's how I get into a lot of places. That's actually how we served Steve Bannon once. We served him a few weeks ago because he was like trying to dodge this paper for a minute, you know, because I mean he's like pretty crafty, you know, he's like some kind of like international ruse master, you know, or at least that's what the news tells me, you know. I don't know, he just seems like a schlub to me or whatever, but he has like this goon squad that like protects him at all times. And so we formulated a ruse where we were pretending to be like electricians there to work on the power lines, and we had to get permission from the owner of the home, you know. And so, you know, they were like suspicious at first, but like we got some of our coworkers who were like Mexican guys to like knock on the door with us, and so they were like, "Oh yeah, you guys look like construction workers for sure." It like very much worked, but they were like suspicious at first, and so we had to like go down the street, which is like right across the street from the Senate and the Supreme Court, and we had to like knock on every door and be like, "Hey, we're here to work on power lines, guys. Can you like move your car out the back for us?" You know, and they like watched us the whole time, and then eventually like the guy, you know, like Steve came out and he was like, "What the fuck's going on here?" And we served him then, and his he like has like a bodyguard guy who's like with him at all times, and when we served him, the guy just like rolled his eyes. He was like, "Oh fuck, I'm in so much trouble." But no, I mean, it did feel pretty good for like a moron like me to like get one over on like this guy who's like apparently a international spy master or whatever. And it's like,
he's
hey,
a weird dude.
He is like, I don't know. He's like very shy, which is weird because he like lives in like one of the most like famous parts of DC. Like he like straight up lives across the street from the Senate. So it's
wow.
So it's like, yeah, if like you're trying to lay low, man, this is like the wrong place to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't really know what his real job or position in the world is. It seems very sleazy and creepy, whatever it is, though.
Yeah. It is. I mean, yeah,
you've heard about the meth lab and stuff that he had.
What is this?
I don't remember the full story right now, but something happened where I think it was like some kind of legal issue, and they had to go to one of his houses or whatever, and they found a bunch of. It looked like there had been pornography being filmed there. So they found a bunch of that stuff, like cameras and all this kind of stuff, and a meth lab, like in the bathroom, had been turned into a meth lab. So there's that, and then there's this like gladiator school he started in Italy. Have you heard of this?
No, hold on. This is
yeah. There's a whole weird.
This is awesome. Hold on.
Yeah, you should look this up after we finish. But he started a school, like an academy in Italy, and he's calling it a gladiator school. It's for young men to go to, and so there seems to be like this kind of pattern of like he seems to be sort of into like young guys and stuff.
That sounds like This seems like
Ed Buck kind
pederasty shit. Like
yeah,
I think I think that was the thing where he wanted to make it like young conservatives, like leadership kind of stuff, and then he opened it up at like a convent or something like that, like some sort of like a monastery or something. And then I guess when the bishop found out what they were going to use it for, because they were like going to rent it or something, and he found out what they were going to use it for, he was like, no, I don't think you can do that there. No, like, because he was like, I don't know, it was supposed to be like this whole old right wing kind of stuff, and you can tell it was probably funded by some guy that's like 120 years old and has like just solid blue skin or something. Just, you know what I mean? Like really, like really just this guy that like can't really move, but like lifted his finger to be like, yes, put $100 million into the like National Salvation Foundation or something. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that a lot of the like far right wing stuff, because I mean, like you guys remember like the John Birch guys, where like it was just like one like super fucking rich guy who was like, I can buy a printing press.
Yeah.
And I can distribute a ton of stuff to everyone or whatever by spending like 1% of my like money that I got from like the chicken farm or whatever the fuck he did. I think that a lot of these right wing groups are like probably funded by like weird like hedge fund guys. Who's like either like they're fascist or like their kids are, and and like their kids will be like, "Daddy, I love Richard Spencer. Can you please give him a bill?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's like buying a ice cream cone for me. Here's like some black money from my like black box.
Yeah,
hedge
definitely.
Fund or whatever.
A lot of that stuff, like that far right stuff, that there's weird connections with crime, like international drug dealing and arms running and all that kind of stuff. So I feel like Bannon fits in there somehow. He seems like a money manager kind of a guy or something. Back in the day, you remember the movie Biodome, the Pauly Shore movie?
Yes.
He funded the actual project, the Biodome project that was like they were trying to get that off the ground in real life before the movie came out. This was a thing. The movie's based on that project. And
so this is like a so it's like a climate change thing, like
this was like back in the 80s or something like that.
Yeah
I mean, I think it would be pretty cool to live in the dome, so
the movie made it look fun, I guess.
Respect to him for that. Or like Logan's Run did that too, but I think that movie came out as like, actually the domes are bad, so
Any other celebrities you've served? These are pretty fun.
I served like Wayne LaPierre last week. Which is like funny because he's like a paranoid guy, and he lives in like a like McMansion, like deep in Fairfax, Virginia, which is where like all these weird guys live. But if you like walk up to his house, he like basically has like a bunch of armed guards there to stop you. And so you have to like talk them into like letting you go knock on his door. You know, it's like, hey, I mean, I have to keep coming back or you can shoot me. I don't care. You know, like, you know, like my boss is going to make me come back here. So, you know, just let me serve him. I mean, it's just like funny to me that the guy who like probably has like 1,000 guns in his house needs like more guys with guns at his house.
You gotta have people to shoot those things, I guess. You can't just have a bunch of guns.
It was pretty weird.
Yeah. That's strange to me. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, I said I can't imagine that as much in Canada. Maybe it does exist, but I feel like there's not a lot of armed guards in Canada for this stuff, but maybe there is, and I just don't know about it. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like a thing that you run into if you have to run into it. And then if you don't, then it's like fine. I mean, like these like people kind of live like they live that way for a reason, and it's because like Wayne LaPierre is like, I mean, he like knows that he's definitely a guy who deserves to get shot, you know? Like, you know, and so it's, I mean, and so like I don't really blame him for having like a Black Ops thing going on at his house. You know, because if I was him, I'd be scared too. I don't know. That's like how I mean, that's how I deal with people being like mad at me with this stuff. Because it's like, yeah, I'd be mad too. You know, you know. I mean, it's fine, and you're allowed to be mad at me because I'm the guy who brought the bad news to you, and you know, like just like please don't punch me. Yeah. I mean, the only time I've been punched was when I was like serving this guy in a mental institution in like DC. He was like a 82-year-old guy, and he had like dementia and had done a bunch of crimes. And I served him, and he just fucking like slapped me in the face. And the staff was like, "Oh, do you want to call the police?" And I'm like, "No, that would be a bitch move." Like, like sorry, like it is perfectly fine that he punched me. But then I got to take the rest of the day off, which was nice. Because I could tell my boss was like, "Oh, I got punched by a guy that I was serving," and he's like, "Okay, yeah, go home, drink some beers, it's fine."
Yeah.
Besides that, there's just a lot of ones that are like pretty funny. There's like one like law firm we work for that does like wage theft stuff, and so because of that, I'm like banned from a lot of restaurants in DC. Because I've like served the guys who like own them a lot or whatever, which is like nice because it saves me money because I can't go out to eat, you know, which is like fine. And then that firm has like sent me to a lot of like strip clubs too, which is like pretty funny because like I've like never been to like a strip club like just like to go to one just like for work. And so when my boss like gives me these, I'm like, "Hey man, I don't really go to strip clubs. I'm not sure if I'll like fit in, you know." But he's like, "Yeah man, just like go or whatever." And the strippers are pretty funny because if you just like straight up tell them, it's like, "Hey, I'm here to like make your boss's day worse," they like help you out a lot.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. Especially if it's wage theft. Like, I'm here to get your paycheck, you know?
Oh yeah. That's a move that I make a lot with like people who like work at places. I'm like, "Hey, I know that you're getting screwed, you know, and so I'm like here to help you out. You know, why don't you like tell me where your boss is or like trick him into coming out or whatever?" I mean, that works for like people's homes too. Like if like you see a home that's like not well maintained, if it's in like a rich part of town, you definitely know that person is like pissing off the people who live next door to them. And
really? Yeah.
And so like if you talk to them, they'll like super sell them out. No, I mean like especially if I'm serving foreclosure stuff in like, you know, like the rich part of DC, like Georgetown and stuff like that. People have like helped me out because, you know, they've been like, "Hey, so if you foreclose on this house, can I buy it? I'm looking for some investments." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'll like text you. Just like call me when the guy's home and I'll come and serve him." And then of course I can't text them that I just served him or whatever so they can like buy the house. But it is like nice for them to help me out.
Yeah,
that's pretty funny.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's like all sorts of fun tricks you can do. Like if like you want to see if like someone is like using their car, you can place like a coin on one of the tires of the car, and then like come and check and see if the coin's moved. Or if you want to like check and see if they've left their house, you just place like like a little stick or like a piece of paper in like the door that like they won't see, and then like you see if that's like dropped to the ground. The like next day you go back or whatever. So you can like prove it's like, yeah, someone's still here.
It's pretty cool, like a spy stuff there.
I know, yeah. Anyway, man, this is like way less cool. I mean, like my tales are way less cool than I thought they would be. But,
no. We find them great actually. So I don't know.
We can talk about whatever you guys want. So I'll open the floor to questions from y'all now.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you got the boxes of flowers and all those kind of things, but do you ever go for like disguises, like full on kind of, or just vest or anything, or I guess not the vest, but like either, I don't know.
Yes, yeah. There was one time I had to serve the entire DC Chamber of Commerce, and so I like wore a suit and I said that like my name was like Jacob Goldstein and just named like a random law firm. And they're like, "Oh yeah, man, come on in."
That's hilarious.
I was like, "Hey," and then like I served them all, and like one of them was like, "Who the fuck let this guy in?" And I'm like, "Sorry, I lied."
Yeah.
See ya, bye.
Yeah,
or whatever. Other disguises I've done, I don't know, like usually trying to dress up as a delivery guy works pretty well. You wear like a ball cap or whatever.
Yeah,
that works okay. But I had an issue where I was wearing a like Washington Nationals hat for so long that like certain apartment buildings where I served people at a lot recognized me as like the Nats hat guy. And so they would see the Nats hat and be like, "Process server, watch out." I was like, "Oh fuck." And so eventually I got in the news for wearing that hat. Like the first time I tried to serve Steven failed because like someone from Politico like noted that I was wearing like a Hawaiian shirt and like a Nats hat or whatever when I went to his house because they were like outside like waiting for him to get served for some reason. And so my boss banned the Nats hat and now it's like nailed to like the wall in the office or whatever.
Yeah.
As a trophy. I mean, like, generally it's like pretty easier because like I'm like white, and so I can just kind of walk into wherever I want and use that like be like, yeah, I'm supposed to be here. I'm white. Come on, like,
yeah.
That's like, I mean, and like that works both in the hood and in like the rich parts of town. So it's weird. Being white's a power move. I've learned.
Yeah. Do you have like friends or family and stuff that kind of frown on it at all? Like, do you ever have conversations where people are like,
Oh yeah, people. I mean, when like people find out that I work this job, they usually it like gets to a point where they say, "We need to get you a different job because you can't keep doing this or whatever." And I'm like, well, I mean, I enjoy making money. Like it's fine. Maybe this is like a black pill type of thing, but I'm like one of those guys where like I don't especially care how I make money so long as I don't want to kill myself at my job. Because it's like we like all have a part to play in the world. It's like, okay, well,
I mean, you're hardly the source of like the foreclosure stuff. You know what I mean? Like, even if that's a large part of the papers being served, that's not.
Yeah,
you're the last person on that.
No, I am the last person they see. Yeah. It's like, I mean, like, so I mean, it's like I don't really have any like issues with it, but it's like weird because like a lot of people assume that you should have an issue with it.
Yeah.
Which is like weird to me because it's like, for me, it's no different than like, oh, you're a secretary at like a law firm that like works for landlords or
right,
whatever, or like I mean, it like really is a interesting thing where like people are like, oh, that's like a bad job, and I'm like, I mean, it's like not that bad. I get to like drive around all day and do fun shit. Like I get to trick people, and like some of the stuff I serve is like probably bad. Like it's like probably not good that like landlords can like kick people out of their homes, and that I have to bring them the news. Like maybe we shouldn't have that around. But there's like also stuff where it's like, if like someone's like, like spouse is like trying to beat them, then I get to go and like be like, hey, here's the paper that says you're not allowed to talk to them.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
I mean, you were talking about serving like Richard Spencer and Steve Bannon and the Clintons. Like, I don't know, that it's got to kind of balance out on some level.
Yeah, I think it does. Yeah, and especially because I've been doing it for like pretty much. I mean, like most people burn out of the job in like 4 or 5 months, but I've been here for like 2 years, and so like I get all the cool stuff now. So it's like less like evictions and more like stuff that's like hard to get. I mean, like there's fun ones I do. Like if like you're trying to serve someone like a paper for like custody of their kids, you like wait until they do the swap of the kids or like pick the kids up from school, and then you just walk up to their car and like serve them that way. It's like, you can't pick up your kids anymore.
Damn.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I've almost got my ass beat for a couple of those.
Yeah,
because people get pretty mad at you.
Sure.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
People get pretty mad at you.
yeah.
But I mean, but I mean, it like also teaches you a lot of like life lessons, like because I feel that like my history, like posting on like something awful and like Twitter and stuff like that, and like learning how to troll, has like been a boon because you're just used to people being mad at you. Right. And I mean, and like this has like really taught me a lot of like lessons where even on like Twitter, if like someone gets mad at me, I'm like, yeah, they're allowed to be mad, that's fine.
Right.
Which is like which is a very wise way to post. Be like, yeah, you'll make people mad, it's fine.
Yeah,
it's really funny. That's something that there's a lot of people that kind of came to the whole like social media thing after it kind of went through that, like you're talking about something awful. There's sort of like that era where it was like all nerds and stuff, mom's basement, all that kind of thing. And then it became very mainstream, and a lot of people came online after it became mainstream, right? And for them, it seems like if someone gets mad at you, or even if like a mob of people get mad at you for something, that's like the worst possible thing that could happen. But I think for guys like us, that's the best possible thing.
It is. It's like, it's like, oh man, sorry I was funny. Like, I'm just trying to bring some joy to people's day.
Or at least my day.
By like making losers mad at me. No, I mean that like is a interesting thing, because like the internet used to be really mean, and like there's like parts of that I miss. Because it's like people these days are like, oh, you like log on to Twitter to be nice, and it's like, what? No, like that's so stupid. Like, everyone on this website is an idiot. and like you should make fun of them,
it's almost like office like a workspace kind of etiquette that you have to have now. I feel like I'm at someone else's office when I go on Twitter. Like everyone's got to be all professional, like they're presenting that kind of face to the world, and it's just like, this, why would I do that? Like, you know what I mean? You have to do that at work because you have to stay cordial with the people you're working with. If I come in online to like shit post, that's what I'm here for.
Yeah. Well, I mean, on like Twitter, it's like, if like you really don't like my posts that much, you can just not follow me, or you can like block me. It's like, fine, I won't take it personally.
Well, I mean,
I don't know. Like,
I have that, the whole thing about the age of mod thing, where I think that like there's this sort of like chain of logic people use now, where if you say something bad, then you're kind of contributing to this general cloud of evil, which is killing people or something kind of thing. Like any sort of little joke or anything you do, if it's something that doesn't go against, if it goes against the consensus, then somehow it's like all tied into everyone. You're like choosing to, I think that's what people think. So,
Yeah, but you don't have to be on Twitter. Most people aren't on Twitter.
Yeah.
So like I don't buy into that.
No. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's like very weird now. I think that like there'll probably be a point where like I just can't post anymore, and I'll have to like hang up my Spurs. It's like all right, guys, see ya or whatever, because we all have to be nice now. But
I think we all kind of see that day coming. But I feel like you just got to stick it out until it actually comes. So I'm just sort of waiting for that day.
The like proof is in like fruits or whatever. Like you can like tell how good a poster is by like what they inspire, and like how much they make people laugh and stuff. Like Pop Sun was great.
Rest in peace to Pop Sun.
Yeah. I mean, this is important for me to say. Rest in peace, Pop Sun. One of the last great posters on Twitter.
For sure.
He was one of the funniest guys, or whatever. Like,
I feel like he was our Patrice O'Neal in a way,
Kind of like he had did this one like video because like he would do like rants where like he would like never post his face. It would just be like like a pure like black thing, but like
maybe that was I don't know. Maybe the light was just off or something.
Maybe, but like he would post a video and just be like, "Fuck the evil left, fuck women, fuck black people," or whatever. It was just the funniest fucking shit in the world. And then he got like a stomach bug and died.
Yeah,
because he was too good at posting. I guess. Like, I don't know.
I want to think of it like he had just too much hate in his gut, and it just kind of killed him.
Did, man. Well, I mean,
he needed to post more to get it out,
Well, I mean, I think he was right about some things, like the left is evil, So I'm kidding, but
sure.
He was pretty great. No, this is how I get canceled for being on this podcast. Like, the left actually is evil. Oh, I mean, I guess another thing we can talk about. I was involved in like left-wing groups for a while that I think I've talked with Don about.
Yeah,
a bit.
You've kind of went through the ringer on that kind of thing with all those people and stuff. So.
Oh yeah. I was involved with Workers' World for a while, which was kind of an interesting like trot cult. I don't know. We can cut this out because it's just very boring.
Like, no. I don't. Yeah. I don't find it boring, but like.
Well, no.
Yeah.
No. I mean, that's like the funny thing about all the like inner left wing drama is that like when you like get down to the brass tacks, it's just like, oh, these people are just losers.
Yeah.
And like, they love being like losers, and it's like. So it's like funny for me whenever I hear about like drama going down in like the DSA or the PSL or whatever, you just like substitute like that group for like the like chess club.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, so and so was mean to me at the chess club meeting or whatever. And it like helps you put it in perspective a lot.
Yeah. I think a lot of the like far right groups work the same way, right? Like
for sure.
On you that like traditionalist worker party, all that kind of funny stuff that was going down that seemed like a Jerry Springer episode. Like they broke up the party because the guy, like one of the dudes in the party, cheated on the leaders. The wife of the leader cheated on him with one of the people in the party, and they had like a fist fight in a trailer park or something. So like the party broke up.
That's hilarious. That's so funny. They have no idea how funny they are.
Yeah, really. I mean, they do all the memes and stuff like that, but that's really that's the gold right there.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the right wing is like probably better at doing memes at the moment. Because like
I think so.
Because they'll like just go for it.
I mean, not to Donald is definitely holding down the fort on the left, I think.
Yeah. But,
well, I mean, he's like one of the only good like posters on the left at the moment.
Thank you.
I think, yeah. Well, I mean, What?
Oh, I mean, about the different, like, trad workers party kind of stuff. There are, like, people that put up posters and stuff like that, like in Canada, like all over, different places and stuff. And I always feel it's like a bit sad to do that, like extra sad to do that in Canada, because at least the United States, it's like, you're like, we're the world power and we're like under siege or something like that. In Canada, it's kind of like, just go home. It's just, it's like you putting up a poster being like, we need to preserve. Not only that, but it's like in Toronto or something, and like Toronto is like 50% plus foreign born kind of thing. So it's kind of like,
there's
sure
like no chance.
Yeah,
there's like no chance. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not like some village in, rural Iowa or something where it's a 99% white and you're like, let's preserve this. It's more kind of like you're trying to convince your Sikh friend that racism is good or something, like it just doesn't really pan out, I don't think. So yeah.
Well, it worked for our Sikh friend, He's
that's true. Yeah.
Wait, who is this guy?
Well, we're just talking about Big Dave.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's like funny to like see the different like flavors of that play out on like Twitter. Like the Catholics are pretty good at memes.
Some of
I
them,
think. Yeah. But I mean, with that crew, I mean, trad cath Twitter is like kind of a handful of people.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's like you're just convincing other people to be like really weird at their church to like moms.
Yeah. There are, I think there's like a huge number of people that are sort of associated with it in different ways. I just seem to like be pure strain normies or something like that kind of thing. Like just all the way down. Like they're just like, all they post about is kind of like, I have 5 kids now or something kind of thing. And I don't know. And but somehow they still know about like people posting memes about crusades.
I think it would be weird to be like a guy who, is like trying to like raise 5 kids, but you're like, yeah, but I love prospector memes or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It seems like those guys should like log off for a bit. Like I think when I have kids, that'll be the end of posting for me.
Sure.
Because it's like I'm just not gonna have time for that anymore.
How does your wife feel about posting in general? I know she posts a bit, but I don't. I mean, like,
she's like pretty involved, like in hockey Twitter.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's like good that she like follows me and like reads my posts and stuff like that, because it's like weird to me when like there are guys who like post like weird shit, and like they like have a wife, but their wife isn't online, and it's like, how would your wife feel about this post?
Yeah.
But like she gets to see all my posts, and she's like, I don't understand what you're saying, but it seems cool. Like if you're making people laugh, like, no, I know that's what you want to do. So I'm like, okay, cool.
Sometimes if I'm like in my room, like like on the computer or something, and I'm like tweeting something, I tweet out a joke or whatever, and Tabs is in another room and she's on her phone, she's just scrolling Twitter, and the thing pops up on her feed, and I just hear her laugh, and then she'll be like, Tom, what are you saying? that's really fun. That's like one of my favorite reactions to get.
Yeah.
It is, yeah. Or like if like, because like my like wife's not on Twitter as much as I am, but when I like check the feed and I see that she's liked some of my posts that are like kind of racist or whatever, I'm like, yes, I just I just made her day, yeah, which is like good to like make your wife laugh. That's like that's how you keep it together,
Yeah.
But then there are like different times where like I'll be on my phone and like laughing at a thing that like from like the Cumtown sub, and she'll be like, what's so funny? And I'm like, if I explained it to you, you would hate it, like just and so we just kind of leave that be.
I think it might be about time that we get into questions, if you have time for that, Harvey.
Oh yeah. No, this ran out of gas, so let's go to the questions for sure.
All right. Well, we were talking about this before we actually started recording, so maybe we'll answer this one here. Have either of you, and this can include you too, Harvey, have you ever heard of Hearts of Iron 4 DLC Kaiserreich? I'm curious what Donald thinks about a world where syndicalists actually won.
Yeah, I don't know. It sounds too unrealistic for me, number one. But yeah, no, I played like Hearts of Iron. I think I don't know which one, but the one where you could like coup until they changed changed all the rules like as it moved along, because you could pay money to coup places, like just pay like $1,000 or something, whatever it was, to coup a country or points. And so I would just start the game and then coup a bunch of countries. And yeah, so I don't know. That was about as fun as it got for me. I don't know. So
what are your favorite countries to coup?
Yeah, I mean, I like all the Central European ones, like Eastern European ones. I don't know, some of those ones. Those are because I have this theory in general that I think that like the countries between Germany and Russia need to form like some sort of power block in the future. Just be, and then like be independent of all that, so that like Poland and Ukraine form a union, which is very unlikely, but in that Hearts of Iron kind of thing you could do. And then I think it would be like a superpower, and then like Central Asia needs to have a superpower.
Yeah,
like all those countries need to kind of unite. And then I think that would be cool for like future movies about war or something like that kind of thing. You'd be like, the Polish-Ukrainian Union.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So
or like moving like the Vatican to Poland, I think would be pretty funny.
Yeah. I wonder what that's going to be like in like 100 years, 200 years or something. That's going to be very strange. I don't know. Maybe they'll move to like Kenya or something. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, let's go on to the next one here. All this Epstein shit has me thinking about the book of Revelation. I think it's definitely one of the weirdest and least helpful books in the Bible, but it's still fascinating to me.
Go to church. Go to church. Go directly to church. Do not pass go. Do not collect 200. Go to church. Soak it in. Okay?
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
No problem.
You can go on with the question.
So, but it's still fascinating to me, particularly the idea of the beast, which is meant to represent Rome and Nero. I guess my question is, do either of you believe that religion will eventually triumph over the elite sickos like Epstein? This could either be in a literal sense, like the second coming of Christ kills a beast and his followers with brimstone, or an abstract sense, each individual slowly trying to hearts to God. I think that means turn their hearts to God, and good triumphs in the end.
Yes and yes. Anyway, on to Donald.
Yeah, I feel like most, if you're looking at it scientifically and you kind of sift through the evidence, I think that, the second coming is probably going to happen. I think that, most reasonable, objective observers believe that in some respects. I mean, I'm not sure. I think like, Islam might have a slightly different take on that, but
no, Muslims believe the standard Sunni and Shia belief is the second coming.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure about Shia, but yeah, Sunnis for sure.
Yeah, I think so. Most people believe that, and I think you need pretty good evidence to disprove that. So, yeah, that's what I'll say. The other thing is, I don't really think that. I don't know. Like, the Revelation seems pretty metal. Like, it seems like badass. I don't know why you would not like it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's definitely going to happen. It's like in the Bible, so I'm not sure why you wouldn't believe that.
Sure.
Like.
I think the Islamic take on this sort of like eventual triumph of evil or like good or evil kind of thing it's a little bit murky, but it seems to be like eventually religion sort of fades away and people kind of become worse and worse and worse until no one knows anything but the name Allah. They don't know anything else about religion. They just know that word. And then the Mahdi comes, and then Jesus comes. And then there's like a nice period, everything's good, and then everything goes bad again or something, and then the world ends. Something along those lines. So I don't know if that matches up with the Book of Revelations or whatever.
I think it would be cool to go to heaven and like it's like, there's Bin Laden. What's up, dude?
What are you doing here?
Yeah. I saw a brand on, like, the brands on Amazon are, they've constantly changed over time, so that it's now like Cheezao or something, like all the different things. Anyway, I saw My Modi was like a brand, and I was like, kind of a strange name for, like, I guess it's a popular name or whatever too, but like it's just, I don't know. Be like, I'm gonna buy a My Modi cell phone holder or something. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, just strange to me. I don't know.
I mean, is like Hinduism a religion? I'm not like sure about this.
So that's kind of it really depends what you're asking about, right? Hinduism, if you go back far enough, it was never like a codified, single, organized thing. It was just a name that the British gave to the generalized sort of sense of like what Hindus were doing, or what people in India were doing as a religion. If they weren't Christian or Muslim or something else they could identify, then they were like, okay, well they're doing Hinduism. And a lot of the whole like caste system and all that kind of stuff actually came from that combination of British anthropologists looking at certain texts and being like, okay, this is a text for the priests and it means this and that kind of stuff. And then people who are classified as in that caste being like, yeah, that's totally what it means. We're definitely on top of it. So
does that mean that it's good or bad?
Well, that's a matter of opinion, I guess. I mean, I honestly think that the whole nationalist angle that or the direction that things have gone lately, does not seem too far from what the basic logic of saying like the religion of these people. It's just like it's sort of ethno-religious fundamentally already. So the fact that it would take on like a nationalist direction politically is not really some kind of crazy aberration, the way I see it. Plus, it's polytheism, so
Right. So, yeah. Oops.
All right. Next question is: how do you explain the multiple female doctors, academics, etc. if #females cannot read? So you don't technically need to read anything to heal. Especially if you're female, I imagine that you have sort of like an intuitive sense of the other person's emotions, and you can kind of read their emotions to understand what's going on with their body. I think a lot of people put too much credit into like the scientific side of doctors and stuff. Anyways, I think that's a bunch of like hooey. Largely, it's mostly about just getting lucky, giving people sugar pills, all that kind of stuff.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, 90% of the people that come in probably just have like a set of like 5 different symptoms, and you can just kind of shift them off to someone else or something. You could be like, this person seems to have like a black mass protruding from their body, so it's probably cancer. I'll just send them to a cancer doctor, and then that person would be male, I would guess, and then that person could kind of look on the computer about it or something, I guess.
Well, I mean, also there's no reason for most people to have to read. So like saying that women can't read isn't really an issue. You know, I mean, maybe that's like a strength that they have. They can't like read posts or like mean things that people like tweet at them. So it's like it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, William Burroughs said that language is a virus, and it's kind of like a parasite in your brain. It kind of like warps the way you see things and understand things. It creates like a distance between your reality and what you can think about. It sort of cages you in a little bit. So, I feel like it's a cage we're trying to impose on a free people. You know what I mean? Let them live free.
Yeah. Sure.
Ancient Aliens, racist or not?
I've not seen the show, so.
You know the premise of the show, though?
Yes. Racist or not, I guess the idea is that if it's attributed to aliens, then it's not really Egyptians that did it or something. So, yeah, I think that would be anti-Semitic too, right? Because they were built by Jews.
Yeah. What if what if the aliens are like POCs though, right? And it would be like racist to say that they couldn't build the pyramids.
People of cosmos.
Yes, exactly.
Sure. Well, or they could be like from the far future, humans from the far future, so there wouldn't be any white people left, because I think that's, generally agreed what's going to happen, based on the white genocide theories that Tom reads a lot about.
But I mean, but I also think it's safe to But I also think it's safe to assume, that like anything on the History Channel is like racist. That's like the point of the channel.
Sure.
So it's fine.
Yeah, I actually think Ancient Aliens, if anything, is anti-racist because all of those things, the pyramids and all that kind of stuff, those were all built by slaves. And so what they're really doing is they're undermining that narrative that sort of attributes it to the pharaohs and stuff. And saying it's aliens, which is really a stand-in for the specter that's haunting, capitalism and stuff, which is like the working class and all that. So I think if anything, it's actually like a communist narrative.
Sure.
Well, yeah, that's why the one guy has goofy hair. He looks like Trotsky, or your like average guy who's like, I'm in the DSA and I don't wash my hair.
Yeah, something about dialectical materialism gets your hair a little bit crazy looking or something. Kind of heats your brain up too much and your hair starts going frizzy. All right, let's try this one. This is a bit long, so I didn't quite read it all the way through, so we'll see if it's good or bad. Hello, Tom and Donald, longtime listener, etc. As someone with a secular background, I was wondering how you guys rationalize certain things. Like, for instance, I always felt that if I was a true believer of Islam or Catholicism, then I would probably see people of different religious beliefs as dumb or something, but you guys seem very respectful of each other's beliefs, so I was wondering how you rationalize that. Like, how do you not try to convert each other like you might do with political beliefs? Anyways, love the pod. Keep up the good work. So right off the bat, I sort of feel like I don't do that with religious beliefs or political beliefs or really anything. I feel like the whatever opinions I have may very well change like the next day. So I don't assume that. I just don't take them that strongly as something that I want to push on someone else if I feel like it's not so sure for me either, even though, I'm very like pretty solidly on like certain things, especially like my religious beliefs and stuff. But I just feel like that's because of my experience and I have a certain understanding that makes sense to me. I'm not going to assume that would just make sense to someone else or that I can somehow like transmit that to another person so that they would even be able to see it the way I see it, So I figure everyone's they believe the things they believe because for a lot of very complicated reasons that you can't just dislodge with some kind of argument or something like that. So I just don't feel that way about a lot of different things. And I guess that also sort of answers the idea of like seeing other people as dumb. I really don't. I mean, I think sometimes people are dumb, right? But not because of certain beliefs. In fact, I think you can be very intelligent and hold a belief that just doesn't make sense, but that doesn't mean you're dumb, right? That's people are like that. I have probably plenty of dumb beliefs, you know what I mean? But I don't think of myself as a stupid person, even when I realize it. Oh, that's a dumb belief that I have. It's just that's how life is. You kind of figure stuff out as you go.
I feel like for me, it's because I've kind of trained myself into thinking that most arguments are just by choice kind of thing. So if people are arguing about something, it's because they want to get something out of the argument or something. And it doesn't really matter it's not really a way of settling a dispute or kind of thing, like it's not like you can't really like get angry at someone and then think it through really most of the time.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of it for me. And then the other thing is just because I feel so new to a lot of things that I think it's like, it just seems silly for me to actually get into it about something. And the other thing I think, and just the last one about this is that there's, a lot of the arguments people end up having are kind of about cultural signifiers or, very kind of loose, basic kind of stuff. It's like, people that make jokes about the Crusades or something, and I don't really care. But I mean, I'll make dumb jokes, but, it's like, who really cares about that stuff compared to like the sort of wondrous facts about the basic kind of stuff, I guess. So
I don't know. Like for me, I mean, the question wasn't directed at me, but I'm on the podcast. I guess like for the religion stuff, like I'm Catholic, but I'm probably aware or like even like am beginning to understand like maybe 0.5% of what like the church says,
Yeah.
And I mean, because it goes like pretty deep. And so I think until I like understand all of that, I mean, I don't really have anything else to say to like someone who's like of a different religion or like not at all, you know, beyond like, hey, like maybe like go to church, you know, it's like a thing that works for me, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I would say I like to encourage people who are sort of curious and open-minded to be like, well, this is what I understand about this religion, and this is why I have kind of gone this way, you know, and maybe that's helpful to someone. But yeah, I don't feel like I could really represent the religion, you know, so to kind of put myself in a position where I'm like trying to like convince someone, you know, I wouldn't want that to be done to me. It would just be annoying, you know, so why would I do that to someone else? And the other thing really is that the religion teaches you not to like argue with people. Like Islam says, like, don't argue with someone, find common ground with them and work towards good things and try to like be a good example. The best dawah, which is like the word for like missionary work, that's not a perfect analogy, but you kind of get what I'm saying. Like the word means invitation. So for like calling to the religion is to be a good example. So I don't know. I don't think I even do that exactly, but you know,
I don't either. But
that's where I would set my sights, you know, before arguing.
Well, I mean, like one of the funny things that happens to me is like, you know, I like DJ at like clubs and like raves and stuff like that or whatever, and so I know a lot of people from that scene, and they eventually end up following me on like Twitter, and then like they'll ask me, it's like, wait, do you really believe in God and stuff? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, wow, that's tight. I'm like, yeah, you know, maybe you should like check it out, you know, if like I seem like, you know, my life is going okay, then, you know, maybe this is a thing you should look into, you know. I'm like glad to talk to you about it, but you know, I'm not gonna, you know, be like, oh, you're a bad person if you don't blah blah blah, whatever, because that's just not that helpful.
Yeah, I guess it's called like, you know, it's evangelization, which means good news, and that's really the basic underlying thing should be. It's not like, you know, trying to be a parasite and just kind of infect people into your religion. Is more, isn't this cool kind of thing, you know? So yeah,
not bullying people to take certain like positions on social issues or whatever. Like give people space, give them time.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, like God knows that people on like Twitter have allowed me to post a lot of dumb shit, you know, and so I try to extend that to people.
Sure. Yeah. Anyways, but it was great to have you on. I really.
Oh yeah, guys. Thanks for having me on the pod.
Yeah.
With you, Alpha Male podcasts out there.
Yeah.
I want to give a special shout out to the 3 women listen to this, you know.
Yeah.
You know, I see you and you are valid, and for all of the kings, you know, don't follow me on Twitter, don't read my tweets, don't respond to me. Please.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, thanks. Yeah.
We'll have to get together soon. I don't know. I'll try to get out to Washington D.C. sometime next year or whatever, and we'll hang out.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, guys. Thanks again. It was a super fun one. Peace.
Cool.
Yeah. See you, man. All right, guys, thanks for listening. You can send us more questions at You Can't Win Pod. That's the Twitter account. You can send us questions on Curious Cat. And if you want to hear more episodes every week, you can subscribe to the Patreon. You'll get a second episode every week where we discuss books and political ideologies and all kinds of different things. So check that out if that sounds interesting. You would also get access to our Discord where you can chat with us in our community. And thanks for listening, and we'll catch you again next week.
Serving the fiends, the underground queen. Niggas know what the fuck I mean. Pop my cream, popping the beam. I'm coming out clean, I'm on the scene. You can't stop it about my profit. Niggas be dropping on the floor, on the